Looking for the king of podcasts? You're at the wrong channel. Looking for good ideas for life? You are far from good hands. If you think the listener is always right, you are far from the right place. Hosted by a Northeasterner by birth, a rebel by choice. If you want a host that floats between love and madness, then play on and listen to Crazy Train Radio.
You drive me wild.
What up, Crazy Train Radio?
You look like hell.
And I could look the same.
What's the photo for?
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth! Truth.
I love scotch. I love scotch. Scotchy, scotch, scotch. Here it goes down into my belly.
What's it open?
Say it! Say it!
Say it. Say it. Say it. Say it. Say it. Say it. Say it.
Don't mess with me, I'm one crazy mofo.
Hey there, Friday fans. We know how much you enjoy the movies. Enjoy grabbing your Friday merchandise and interacting with the Friday family, whether it be at conventions or during our particular watch-alongs. Well, when you're looking to get yourself masks, why not check out our friends over at Camp Blood Customs out of New York State and order your specific custom mask from any of the films. All orders are made specifically. Your needs and wants are. Make sure you find Camp Blood Customs on Facebook, Instagram, and all over social media and order yours today.
This is Lou Nolan of the Philadelphia Flyers. I'm pleased to be with Jonathan Steele and being on Crazy Train.
Hey folks, it's your least favorite host in the podcast world, the Croc, Jonathan Steele. And boy, do we have a good one for you today. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this next guest certainly has seen his share of hockey, but not just any hockey. He's seen Flyers hockey over the years. He has been associated with the Philadelphia Flyers since 1972. He has called 8 Stanley Cups. He has actually released a book a couple years ago through Triumph Books, If These Walls Can Talk. And I'm going to guess the Spectrum. It'd be about the Philadelphia Flyers. That was released, like I said, November 2017. We only have him a short time, but I'm sure he's got stories galore. Mr. Lou Nolan. How you doing, sir?
I'm pretty good, Jonathan. How are you? Nice to have me. Thank you.
I appreciate you saying yes, so
and
it's truly an honor.
You got my year wrong. I'm an original Flyer in 1967. I was a press aide for a while. and then went downstairs when the announcer left to go with the Philadelphia Blazers. Seen a few games, couple thousand plus.
6, 7 at least, maybe 8. To go with the Stanley Cups. So obviously, who would have thought a kid from Southwest Philly would go on to like hockey compared to most of your generation liking basketball? Especially because the reason I bring that up, and I'm currently in South Jersey, but I've grown up in the area. But hockey wasn't a thing until Ed Snyder and all brought the Flyers and the organization to Philadelphia. Actually, correction, they tried to do hockey years before, didn't really work out, but really became a mainstay when the Flyers got to town.
Yes, I first became interested in hockey in grade school, Jonathan, and my classmate's uncle was a goal judge at the Philadelphia Ramblers, paid at the arena, which was at 46th and Market Street in Philadelphia. And we used to go there on Friday nights and just be rink rats, run around and take the broken sticks home and tape them up and put our skates on and skate over to a nice street in back of the school that was newly resurfaced and play street hockey. So it was pretty early on that we did that stuff. And I followed the original 6. Fortunately, near the beginning of my career there, met to meet a few of those guys that played then. I became friends with Gordie Howe and met Bobby Hull a few times and guys like that I really enjoyed watching. So it's been good fun. It's been good fun for me for a long time.
And it's great that you mentioned Gordie, because I've actually had a chance to chat with his son, Mark, who was also a former Flyer, and he's a Hall of Famer himself. So who's also here in Jersey, which is great. So obviously, I find it unique. When I was doing a little homework, there was a documentary about you. You're also a member of the Philadelphia Sports Writers Hall of Fame as well, which is a pretty big deal around here. But what do you honestly think the current identity of the Philadelphia Flyers is? Because obviously, part of that talk has been changing of the office's opinion, the way I take it, since Ed Snyder passed away. So what do you think is from that aspect of it?
Well, it's grown out of the first identity that we got, which was as the Broad Street Bullies. And when the league sort of went along and ruled fighting out, which is almost out now, and roughness and things of that nature, you don't need to do a lot to get a penalty now. You touch somebody with a stick and it's hooking. And there are a lot of reasons, but the game is not near as rough and tough as it used to be. And I think that's changed the identity of not only our team, but a lot of teams. You can't be the Broad Street Bullies anymore,
Yeah.
Especially if you have a penalty kill that's so-so, because you'll get a lot of penalties and a lot of power play goals will be scored on you. But I think the identity of our team has changed. We've got a lot of speed now. I don't think we had a lot of speed back when we won the Cups. But we were good. We had good players. Bill Barber would have been the best player in any team except for Bob Clark. I mean, Bill played in every situation, and as Bob did, killed penalties, scored goals, scored a lot of points. And then it went on to the scoring time when the Legion of Doom, with Eric and Eric Lindros and LeClaire and Michael Renberg and a few other players in there, like Mark Recchi and so forth. It changed a little bit there, and it's changed yet again. I think the team is still searching for a real identity at this point.
Well, on the other end of that, what about and I've heard Chris Terrian talk about this recently through social media and such, but what about the front office? According to Chris and a few others I heard, and I take it for what it is, maybe not respecting the history where, like, when Ed Snyder was around, it was always a Flyer for life and stuff. There was a different perspective on the history of the organization.
Well, you may be trying to paint me into a corner. Chris no longer worries about that because, he's freelancing and out there now. But I would say to you that any organization that has a change at the top makes a change below and below and below. I think that everybody respected Ed. Ed was great. I think the guys that are in there now, the people that are now doing a nice job. I think that it's changed. The league has changed so much. You got hard salary caps, you got free agency, you got serious injuries to players. I mean, we just had Couturier, I'm reading, out for the year now. Before that, it was just, it was like week to week. But I understand, and Sam Carchidi reported it, and Sam is like the best, period. If he gets the information, it's usually pretty right. So Coots is out now, and it begs for the problem that, the general manager had mentioned, that, there are injuries. Everybody's got injuries, but you think about, our number one defenseman that we signed, he was going to replace the best guy we had at defense, Niskanen, who made Provorov better. He's only played 4 games. He's, so it's a difficult situation. I think that any group that has changes at the top and ownership and so forth going along has difficult time and a time to grab it by themselves and make it their own. And I think that's what this group is finding now.
And I can totally respect that and see what you're saying with changes at the top. But while we're still on the current team, and I don't want to spend the whole time doing it, 2 things that stick out for me is, first, you mentioned about the general manager. And earlier this week, the news came out that Danny Briere is back in the fold, working with the front office and the GM. So do you think Danny's the right mind from a hockey perspective to be able to try to help fix whatever's going on?
I think he'll contribute in his own way to what the general manager needs to know. Abilities of players, his opinion on certain things. Don't get me wrong, Danny's a wonderful guy, first of all, a great player, money player. McLeish was a money player, scored big goals. Danny, as in Simon Gagne, money players. They score big goals for you at big times. And Danny's a smart guy. I mean, he didn't just come out of the woodwork. He learned the game, went back to school at Penn, at the Wharton School, for some business degree. And he did a lot of things that are going to help him. It's been 5 years now that he's been with the different hockey teams in this organization, learning the ropes. So it's not a guy that just walked down the stairs and Fletcher said, "Hey, would you like to be a special assistant?" There's a reason for it, and a good reason for it. Don't let me allow you to think that it says that the people that are in there now are not good at their jobs. That's not the case at all. But a fresh voice in all this means a whole lot. So I would say that. Is he being groomed to replace him? Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see what happens. It's just fresh news, fresh eyes, everything. But what I was going to say there was, and I'm sorry for almost cutting you off there, but as far as the few times I have met Danny, in informal situations, guy's a gentleman. Yes. Well, the other thing with the current team that I'm curious to know, because obviously people were talking about, I do watch pre and post game as well too, and listen to sports radio and all that fun jazz. And the one guy they always talk about potentially trading, but he has a no trade clause. As a fan, I want to see him stay and finish his career here. But do you think they might look at moving Claude Giroux?
Well, I think they'll look at moving anybody if they think they can improve their team. He said that. Fletcher said that. However, I point to a trade years ago. Kimmo Timonen was sent to the Chicago Blackhawks and won the Stanley Cup. So, I mean, Kimmo, again, another one of those guys. He's just terrific to be around. Great hockey mind, sharp, approachable, terrific. They did him a favor. And, he was getting to the point where, where was he going? He wasn't going to win one here. So they sent him somewhere where he could win one. Now, he had a different kind of contract. Giroux's contract, which I think is when you're talking about Claude Giroux, he can dictate any trade. He can say, for instance, years ago, he might have wanted to be traded to Montreal, but now he might not be wanted to be traded to Montreal. I mean, they're way down there now, all the way at the bottom, and they're having upheaval in their front office. So that he would definitely nix, but he may want to go to out there to Colorado and play there. I mean, that might help. Who knows? Maybe he plays there, finishes the season. You think of the scenario: trade him there, get somebody for him, a couple draft picks. He wins the Stanley Cup. That's all well and good, and then he's a free agent. Comes back to Philly, where his home is, with his family. So there's all kinds of ways you can think about this, Jonathan. But I would think that he would want to be traded somewhere where he had a shot.
Exactly. And he's one of those guys that you want, like you said, a chemo team and just guys like that deserve a championship.
Yep, you're right.
We hope it's here, but totally understand the point.
Not this year, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it is what it is, unfortunately. But I'm curious to know, like I said, you've seen so much hockey over the years. And obviously, when it comes to the Flyers, and you mentioned Broad Street Bullies and all that fun stuff, one of the things that really stands out is the Flyers and the Soviet Union. So what kind of memories do you have, even all these years later, from that rivalry when they were touring the States, the Soviet Union?
Well, 1976, Soviets sent two teams over here. One was called Wings of the Soviet. The other one was the Red Army team. I did games for both of those teams. I was called to do a game up in New York for the Wings of the Soviet. They had Yakushev. He was their best player. He scored the game winner when a goalie broke his stick in half by mistake, and he took the puck off him and put it in, 1-0. And in here, they had his team was assembled from the greatest stars, the Red Army team, all quote unquote in the military. All they did was play hockey. If you've seen the documentary about Russian hockey and how they do it, they start out with 5,000, whittle it down to 1,000, whittle it down to 250, whittle it down to 100. It was where you get your real teams, and then whittle it down to 50, and then to 20, 25, which they put on these various teams. So they find their best players that way. We do a little differently here. We draft players and do things like that. But I just remember it. I mean, Ed Van Impe lowered the boom on Valery Karmelov, and that started it. Then they walked off the ice. And back in those days, Jonathan, I worked without glass. So in front of me, there was nothing between me and the players and myself and the referees and so forth. So I was right in the middle of all of that. And interpreters and people of that nature, talking to Russians. So it was remarkable. Ed Snyder, when they all walked off the ice, came around from where he sat, barged into their dressing room, past the guards. The guards would never stop Ed; they were his own guards. Into the room, and that you went into that room. It was stuff on your nose. It smelled. It was terrible. The equipment they had, and told them that you don't play this game, you're not getting any money. Now, Alan Eagleson, who ran the Players Association, had put the contract together for it, and they were going to be paid at the end of their 8 games, and we were the last game. And so, Ed said, and I don't know, Ed could have been able to do that or not, but Ed had stones, boy. It was something. And he basically told them, you don't play here, you're not getting any money. And he turned and left, and they said they'll be out. Give us 10 minutes, we'll be out and got to sharpen skates. We got to do this, do that. So they came back out, and shortly after they came back out, we scored a goal on them. I think Joe Watson scored. And Freddie Shiro said that when he scored that goal, it set their program back 2 decades because Joe didn't score many goals, but that was a big one. And we wanted to win 4-1. So we held it up for the NHL over the Russian program. And, there's a documentary out there that talks about that, how they built their players. And I would recommend that anybody who watches this, that hears this program, should find that somewhere and watch that. And a lot of interviews, a lot of good stuff in there.
And I'm going to refer to a friend of the show, Liam McGuire, who's done stuff with the Flyers alumni and such.
I know him,
yeah. So Liam would definitely point me to all those documentaries and such. So I'm looking forward to actually sitting down and watching them over the next couple of weeks. That's for sure.
Yeah, the alumni run a lot of programs to raise funds, and one of them is brings in some of the fighters from different teams to sit on the stage at the 2300 Arena in South Philadelphia. And I think we call it Fight Night. I don't remember exactly what it's called. And it's coming up again in April. And, you get a guy like Marty McSorley there and, Dave Brown, and they're friends now. And there's banter back and forth and Schultze and all this stuff like that. And Liam always moderates. I moderate, but he really takes it and moderates and does a whole act. He's quite a guy. So he's good man.
Oh,
Work with him again.
Very smart guy too, which is scary how knowledgeable he is about the game. So,
yeah.
But I mentioned in the introduction this Spectrum, and that's a place that, and don't get me wrong, I liked the Vet growing up, but it was the Spectrum that always held near and dear for me, especially with hockey. When I bring up the Spectrum, what kind of is there mixed emotions? And obviously things change and evolve and stuff, but.
Well, I was just a young kid and went to work there. And I found, if I think back on it now, I say it was very easy to get around. It was easy for me to be able to get from the press box to the press room. Now it doesn't happen anymore. It's like, 5 levels up. It's crazy. It had an angle on it like this to watch a hockey game instead of like this, because you have to put all the extra seats in for revenue and so forth. And it's just not practical anymore for those kind of rinks. They have one up in Hartford. Hershey had a rink that was great because you never had to stand up. The guy's head in front of you was down where you could see everything. Spectrum was like that. The Spectrum was a great place. It went from 14,000 and some to 17,077, 17,747. They kept finding places for seats. But when that place would get rocking, let me tell you, it would get rocking. My headset would chirp, and down in the box, it was just amazing. The first game in the new building, which was Core State Center, was World of Hockey, I believe it was, and Canada against the U.S. And we rocked that night down there. Full boat, 20 grand, full of people, and it really, really, really was loud. But I still think that it won't approach the electricity of the Spectrum until this team wins. In 2010, almost. If we had made one save there and some different things that happened, we could have won a Stanley Cup then, that Chicago beat us. And the goal that nobody ever saw, that I knew was really a goal when I saw Pat Kane throw up his stick and his gloves in the air and skate up the ice. I mean, people don't do that. And but the back to the Spectrum, it was great. It was great for concerts. It was great for hockey, rock for basketball, and it really is America's showplace. And by the way, do you know Lou Scheinfeld?
What's that?
Lou Scheinfeld. Did you know that name?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, Lou was Ed's right-hand man for a long time, and he had a lot to do with the Spectrum, and he's just written a new book. You can probably find that on Amazon. And that basically talks about a lot of stuff, the Spectrum, like besides hockey. It talks about Elvis coming in. It talks about all kinds of different stuff. It's a lot of fun to listen to read. So try to find that one if you can.
I'm definitely going to do that. And I got 2 more hockey-related questions for you, sir. First being, and I am a traditionalist when it comes to Flyers hockey, and obviously there was some concern about it, but do you think, and maybe they have, and I just didn't pick up on it, do you think the Kate Smith will be incorporated into God Bless America? And not that Lauren Hart doesn't do a great job. She's one of the best. But you know how they would sometimes do dual?
Oh, sure. There for years. I know how to do that. If you're asking me what I think about all that stuff with Kate Smith, it's a difficult question to ask me and a difficult question to answer. I felt poorly because I met her a couple times, introduced her every time she was there. And people see things in different ways after years and years and decades. And sometimes you get an organization can be forced into doing something that it really doesn't want to do. I thought covering it up with tarps was pretty poor, to be honest with you. And I also think that suddenly it disappears somewhere was tough on me because I thought she had a lot to add. I mean, I don't know anything about her early years and songs she sang. I mean, she raised thousands and thousands of dollars for the war effort, and suddenly some songs she sang is seen as something that's bad for 2020. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't understand it, but then again, I don't make those decisions.
Yeah.
So I have not heard any "God Bless America" at the Spectrum at the center for a while. So
yeah,
that's that was the Stanley Cup guys. That was their thing.
Yeah,
they're gonna get their own thing here, and Lauren does a great job every single night she's out there.
She is. Anytime you hear her, just perfect. You can't go wrong there. But the other hockey related thing I want to bring up, and thank you again for the time, is I would think an honor for anybody, and I'm not talking hockey, but it's hockey, but in any sport of entertainment, to be a part of the Salt Lake Olympics. How did that come about?
I was very honored to do that. I got a call from the organizing committee of the Salt Lake Olympics, and the first thing I did when they introduced themselves was said, "Who is this? Who is pranking me here?" When they convinced me it was really them, and they told me that they wanted me to submit some tapes and things like that, I was honored. I put it together, the stuff that I had done with the World Cup of Hockey and some foreign names and so forth, submitted it, and then I got a call from the league and said, "We want you to do the games." So I went out there and they spent, 20 days, 4 weeks maybe, right after 9/11. It was security there was ultra. On the way out of the airplane, I'll tell you a quick story. I'm sitting with a lady, and the flight attendant comes back and hands her a piece of paper that has a bunch of seat locations on it within the airplane. So we're talking, we had already said that, we're going out for the Olympics. She was security and I was a broadcaster. And I said, "What is that?" She said, "That's all the seat locations of people besides me that are carrying firearms on this airplane." I said, "Oh, okay. Well, it was people, check your gun if you're a federal agent, you can take it. And marshals and so forth and everybody. But the whole plane was Delta Air. It was their official airline. It was all full of athletes, except for security people. So that is the story that I remember. I remember Canada. I did a Canada game, and Lindros got himself a penalty. Comes in, he sits in the box after he's busy trying to convince himself he didn't really commit the penalty. He turns around, he says, "What are you doing here, Lou?" And I say, "Eric, I'm doing the same thing you're doing here. I'm representing, the NHL here, and you're the same way." So it was a funny moment. I liked Eric. I liked him a lot, and just didn't work out for him here. But he was a great guy, and always did well by me. But it was an honor to do the games. I always look back on that. I can remember it like it was yesterday. Had a driver, had all that kind of stuff. And it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
Well, you mentioned Eric Lindros there, and I was fortunate enough to, when they had this year's alumni game, I got to meet him briefly, run into him. I happened to be at a certain spot, and he came across the hallway, and we crossed paths. It's good. "Hey, Eric, nice to meet you," because I am a hockey fan. And would you say I took it as he was a very quiet guy. Would you say that? He was respectful. "Hey, how you doing?" We chatted for a minute, but it wasn't like.
If you put yourself in his place there, everybody wants a piece of him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's going to want to say hello, shake his hand, do this, do that, and the other thing. He didn't exactly, you have times when you let your guard down and times when you don't. And, I think that you can't always be yourself and do things the way you'd like to in a setting like that. but he just stopped. He talked to you, right?
Yeah. There wasn't really fans around, but he was quiet. He seemed very humble. He was a total gentleman.
Good guy. He knew he was a good player.
Yeah.
One time, a quick story here again. My son and his partner, a young lady, when they were in, I don't know what grade it would have been, grade school, they had to do some sort of a story, like a newspaper article. And he came to me and he said, I want to do it on Eric Lindros. I said, okay. He said, could you introduce me to him? I said, sure. So I arranged for the two of them to meet Eric over at the skate zone. You know what I mean? So there's an instance where a guy didn't have to do that. But, he said, sure, for the kids, absolutely. So, he was with it for 15 minutes. They had questions prepared and so forth. He answered the questions. They recorded them. Mailed back and wrote an article, and they got an A on their paper. So,
nice.
It's a good thing.
And final question for you, and this one might paint you into a corner, but
oh, really, you haven't done that yet, huh?
No, but from the Flyers standpoint, and there's been a lot of guys throughout the history, Barber and Clark and Lindros and Perrant, and it's a two-parter. Who was your favorite Flyer, but who was also the best Flyer, would you say, from the organization?
Second part of the question is the best Flyer. Bob Clark. Who was my favorite Flyer? Simone Nolan was a great friend. From the early years. I mean, I know these guys. I traveled, with the guys that won the cup. And I mean, you meet a lot of friends. I was the same age as those guys. Now they're all kids, and because of COVID, for 2.5 years, I haven't even been connected with the players. I'm upstairs now. I'm not in the penalty box anymore, so I don't see the guys. Some guys are just terrific people. Most players, and the exception of one guy, I kind of liked everybody. Bernie's great. Bernie's fabulous.
Oh, I got Bernie stories out the wazoo, but we don't have time for that.
The guy I didn't like was Brizgalov. I did not like Brizgalov. He threw me under the bus on the air a couple times, and don't have time for him anymore. He's crazy.
Yeah, there's
still cashing checks.
yeah, one of those. We'll leave that be. But when this whole COVID thing ends, I hope to maybe see you at Rexy's. They'll nod to the Broad Street Boys there, which is around the block for me. Lou Nolan, thank you so much.
It's an honor to be with you, Jonathan, and be on that crazy train. Thanks an awful lot, man.
Out there.
Thank you.
We're on the air. It's hockey night tonight. Tension grows, the whistle blows, and the puck goes down the ice. The goalie jumps and the players bump and the fans all go insane. Someone roars, Bobby scores at the good old hockey game. Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game.
This brand is truly exciting and I'm so glad that they are starting to make a positive impact. Little Bean Soapery is a woman-owned small business based in Northeast Pennsylvania. Little Bean Soapery does so much as all products are handcrafted and offer many different things for both men and women. Soaps, scrubs, body butters, bath bombs, solid cologne, and much more. Little Bean Soapery also does things for special occasions such as birthdays, Mother's Day, Father's Day, and special seasonal gift sets. But also, let's not forget large orders for party favors by request. The great things about all products is that they are crafted to be nourishing on the skin. If you wish to check them out, please feel free to visit littlebeansoapery.com. Any questions, please feel free to also email littlebeansoapery@gmail.com for custom inquiries and or ask anything else you wish. Tell them that Elena from Crazy Train Radio sent ya.
Hi, this is Vince Papale from the movie Invincible, and you're listening to Crazy Train Radio. It's where you really want to get the real story, the Invincible story.